Hey y'all, so my name is Nora and I am one of Two Birds over at Two Birds Motherhood Podcast. If you haven't already had a chance, you can listen to our podcast on Apple or Spotify or even here on our YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be talking about my curriculum choices for my fifth grader. So she, obviously homeschooling, I don't know if, well, I say obviously, if you're new to homeschooling, you may not know this, but for those of you who are seasoned in homeschooling, then you realize that grade levels are very fluid as you go along because you have the freedom to slow things down or speed things up to benefit your child. So she is going into fifth grade, and so this is that level, okay? So we're gonna start off with her English language arts. So we are doing the essentials curriculum with classical conversations. So this is a co-op that we do locally. They have them actually all over the country and actually all over the world, now that I think about it. I just don't know what other countries besides the United States that they have, communities. But we are part of a classical conversations community, and she is doing the essentials program. And so the first part of it is just the English grammar side of things. And so this is all things grammar. They're learning all the different parts. They go through this for 3 years. And so she technically will be going into her second year. And so it's like a cycle. Like it just keeps coming up for 3 years in a row. And I really like it, guys. This is actually the reason why I chose classical conversations was because of sitting in on this class. We'll get into this a little bit more when we talk about our co-ops in a different video. However, just to kind of briefly talk about it, as a first year homeschool teacher, homeschool parent, family, my fifth grader at the time, I was teaching him all the subjects, which I'm perfectly capable of doing. But I am not, you're going to see when you listen to this video. I'm just going to be very real and raw with you. I am more mathematical in nature. I don't do very well with, let me rephrase that. I can, and I, am capable, and I'm learning each year, but to then teach it to my child, it's just a little bit harder. It was harder for me. It was this curriculum that helped me to properly explain to them the English language grammar side of things. So they do memory work. They do a lot of memory work with this. They do diagramming sentences. So if you're old school and you diagrammed a sentence when you were in elementary school, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I really think that diagramming sentences is helpful. And I remember sitting in my first year with my son and just thinking that diagramming the sentences helps me, even as an adult, to better comprehend what a sentence is talking about. And so it's just so valuable. I think that we sort of skip over this in some schools, some public schools. We don't dive really, really deep into grammar and diagramming. And I just think it's a lost skill, and I think it is helpful on so many levels. So this is what we do for that. So alongside her essentials curriculum, we are actually also doing a writing curriculum. They do this within their co-op as well. And so we're using IEW, which if you're in the homeschooling community for any length of time, you've probably heard of this. And so I really like this because it really gives a step-by-step approach to it. I know that the first year that my kids kind of go through this, I get overwhelmed because I'm like, I want them to do all the things. I want them to have all the dress ups, and I want them to have like the perfect paper. But the good thing about what we do is that they go through it. They go through it for 3 years. And so the best thing that I've learned from this is always easy +1. So you get them to a point where they are doing and adding in certain things into their essays and it just becomes easy and second nature to them, like ly adverbs, or I'm trying to think. I was trying to find one of those checklists, but that's somewhere else. But yeah, just like ly adverbs or, you know, a who which clause, whatever the case may be, just adding in. I had a wonderful person tell me this past year, remember, Nora, it is just easy +1. And so that is what I love about this. It's not, they're not supposed to be pushing out these big essays their first year. It is mainly to teach them the skill and to be very basic and very gentle. And so I really like this. They go through and they do like note taking and outlines, writing from their notes, retelling narrative stories, writing from pictures, summarizing a reference, writing from picture, you know, I think I already said that one, summarizing multiple references, formal essay writing. And so at the end of each year, they are actually writing a 5-paragraph essay. Yeah, my fourth grader last year did that. And they present it, they dress up, they do an end of year, they call it Faces of History, and it's just a lovely experience. And we love, that's actually not part of the IEW, it's actually more part of our co-op, but they utilize this in order to make that happen. So outside of that part right there, I've added in some things on my own. So we actually do phonetic zoo for her spelling, and this has worked out very well. I really like this curriculum because it's very independent, number one. Number two, it works with her auditory needs. Like, she's a very auditory individual, and so she listens to this and she practices it. And they definitely, it's mastery based, and so I really like that as well. There are, I believe, 3 levels to this, and there are, let me double check. I should have been prepared, y'all. There are 47 lessons in each of those levels. So yeah, that's what we're doing for spelling. We started to do this a little bit last year, but it's poetry memorization. And so I really like this because it works on that skill of memorizing and then being able to present and having that inflection in their voice and being able to, we're working on things like, well, inflection and volume and eye contact and enunciation, all of those things, which it's also helping me as the lead learner in this situation. So we also do this. I actually do this a little bit with my kindergartner too, and she loves it. Next, we're going to talk about math. And so she is doing Saxon math. We love Saxon math because it is a spiraled approach. And I believe that a spiraled approach is always the best when it comes to teaching math. I think that if we just keep introducing topics but never going back to them, students don't have the opportunity to really master the skill. I remember my son did a Becca whenever he was in 5th grade, and it's very similar to this in the spiral approach. And I just remember that he was learning long division, and in that he struggled so much. But the fact that every single day he was seeing at least one long division problem, he eventually got the hang of it, and he was eventually able to finish the problem in a very short period of time, and it wasn't taking so long to do so because he saw the problem every day. And so the same thing is happening with Eleanor. She is seeing things that she's been working on, like time, and we're moving into things like multiplication and division and whatnot, but it's still bringing up subtraction with regrouping. It's still bringing up time and the time elapse. It's bringing up fractions. It's constantly just putting each of those things inside of the lesson practice or the mixed practice, so that way they don't forget it. I also like the fact that they have timed quizzes. So I think that it's important that students can recall facts quickly. And the reason for that is because as things get harder and they move up into higher grades, they don't want to have to use that brain power to compute, right? Like counting on their fingers, or, skip counting. Skip counting is great, but when you're in higher grades, you don't want to have to do 7, 14, 21, 28. You don't have to like roll through that. You want to be able to say 7 times 4 is 28 and be fast with it. And so I really like the fact that they do that. They actually also, and this is something that is different than Abeka, is, if I remember correctly, maybe I'm wrong, but they have like mental math skills at the beginning of each lesson. And I really like that because that is building that brain power, and she's able to answer questions faster in that way. So, and they always have like a problem solving problem that she can either draw pictures or draw a graph, or, she gets to answer it however she wants to answer it, as long as she comes up with the right answer. So I really like that a lot. They have tests in here, so that helps out too, just to kind of assess where she is. And if you're somewhere where you need to have an actual, like you have to turn in grades, that would be a great option for that. So she's doing Saxon Math. We've been doing it this will be our 3rd year, and we love it. Okay guys, so that's it for today. So I'm just talking about our language arts and math, and I will talk about our science and history at a later date, just because we do those more family style. I know that Brittany talked about all of her subjects that she's doing with her children, but because we do it family style over here, it would have been repetitive. So I'm going to do that at a later date. So be on the lookout. We're gonna tag this in a playlist so you can go back and watch the other videos that we've done. And next week we're gonna be talking about our older children, and that will be a little bit more in depth, because my oldest does not do family style subjects anymore. So we'll get into that later. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe. Go check out our podcast over at Apple or Spotify, and you can even check it out here on YouTube. So y'all have a good day.